Welcome back to part 3 of Phenomenasons. Today we're starting off with the demon murder trial of 1981, otherwise known as the trial of Arnie Johnson, or the story that inspired the third Conjuring movie. And unsurprisingly, the Warrens' case file omits quite a few important things. So, after reading multiple sources, this is apparently what happened. In about May 1980, Arnie Johnson seems to have met his now wife Debbie Glatzel in Brookfield, Connecticut. And I know it's a bit early in the video to start going on tangents, but isn't it amazing how many demons are in Connecticut? Soon after Debbie and Arnie meet, Debbie's family acquires a rental property and a bunch of the family members go over there to clean it up. Now the ghost, or the demon, or the Shia LaBeouf in this story was more eager than most ghosts to get their haunt started. And the Glatzel family apparently claimed that the paranormal activity started right then and there, from basically the first time they walked through the door. Now the reason I say supposedly will be revealed soon. Anyway, Debbie's younger brother David said an old man suddenly appeared and he started pushing and scaring him. Don't ask me why David is a dick to ghosts. No, I'm just kidding, it was the ghost scaring David. The parents, Judy and Carl. Why does that sound so familiar? Anyway, the parents, Judy and Carl, initially thought that David was using the old man as an excuse to avoid cleaning. But David claimed that this old man had threatened to hurt him if the Glatzels had moved into the rental home. According to David, this old man looked like a demonic beast who muttered in Latin and threatened to steal his soul. Did this old demonic beast man also perhaps say David? Let me tell you what. Well, I guess you didn't know it, but I'm a fiddle player too, and if you'd care to take a dare, I'll make a bet with you. Now, you play a pretty good fiddle, David, but give the old demonic beast man his due. I'll bet a fiddle against your soul, cause I think I'm better than you. Well, David said, my name's David, and it might be a sin, but I'll take your bet, and you're gonna regret, cause I'm the best there's ever been. David, then lost the bet. After this, he would experience night terrors, he would exhibit strange behavior, and he woke up with unexplained scratches and bruises that no one ever photographed. So, on account of this being weird and all, the family called in a Catholic priest, who attempted to bless the house. However, it seems that this priest failed. David's condition seemed to worsen, and just 12 days after moving in, the Glatzel family summoned the demonologists Ed and Lorraine Warren to assist them. Just thought it was funny the way Wikipedia worded that, because the only demons in this story are the Warrens. Now, in the Warrens version, Lorraine comes in and she sees a black mist, and the family say to her, we saw David being choked by invisible hands. But that's not the weirdest part. The weirdest thing is we could hear a faint fiddle through the void, or whatever. The family would also claim that David had recently begun to growl randomly. He would also hiss from time to time to change it up and speak in otherworldly voices. And sometimes, if you're lucky, he would recite passages from the Bible or Paradise Lost, which is a nice old English poem about the fall of man, which is much more pleasant to listen to than growling. The Warrens then said the boy is possessed by multiple spirits, and therefore he was subjected to 3, quote, lesser exorcisms. Just my unwanted opinion here. Why didn't they just do one big one and get it over with? Apparently, during one of these exorcisms, Arnie Johnson coerced one of the demons in David to possess him instead, when he could have just shut the fuck up and let the Warrens do their thing. But instead, Arnie Johnson wanted to be like Star-Lord from Avengers Infinity War. Don't engage, we almost got this off! No, you didn't! The next day, the demon within Arnie took control of his car and drove it into a tree. Isn't it just amazing how many demons in Connecticut drive vehicles into trees? In the Warren stories. Now, Arnie is said to have made it out of this accident unharmed, and afterwards he somehow made his way back to the Glatzels' home to check out an old well that supposedly housed the demon. And I thought that Arnie was housing the demon. But, the fuck do I know? Now, in both the dramatized version and his personal account, Arnie said that this was his final encounter with the demon while completely lucid. After encountering the demon at the well and making eye contact with it, he became possessed. The Warrens claimed, of course, that they warned Arnie not to do this. Although, based on the fact that Arnie did look the demon in the eye and this warning is absent from their book, kind of implies that the Warrens didn't actually warn Arnie about doing this.
So that was a fucking lie.
Moving along. Now, even though David had been exorcised 3 small times, he was still getting worse. So Debbie and Arnie decided that it wasn't their problem, and it was now time to move. Good luck, David. Round about this time, Debbie also got a new job, and she was hired by a guy named Alan Bono as a dog groomer. So Debbie and Arnie began renting an apartment close to her place of employment. Shortly after moving in, Arnie started to exhibit behavior similar to David's, causing Debbie to worry that he had also become possessed. According to Debbie, Arnie would fall into a trance-like state where he would growl and hallucinate, but then later have no memory of it. Scary. Then on February 16th, 1981, Arnie called in sick to his job and he joined Debbie at the kennel where she worked.
So that was a fucking lie.
Arnie brought along his younger sister Wanda and Debbie's 9-year-old cousin Mary. Now, the Warrens' website says that David was here. He was at the kennel this day. He was not here. Only Debbie, Arnie, Mary, and Wandy were here. Wanda were here. David was not here. Now, the only other person that was present was Alan Bono, which makes sense because this was his business. Now, around about midday, Alan Bono decides to take the group out to lunch at a local bar, and he then proceeds to drink heavily. After lunch, the group returned to the kennel, and then Debbie took the girls to get pizza. But while out, Debbie's kinda rushing them along so that they can get back to the kennel soon, because she had a feeling that something was off. When they returned to the kennel, Bono was completely wasted, and for some reason, became agitated. Debbie then told everybody to leave the room, but Bono grabbed her cousin Mary and refused to let her go. Arnie then told Bono to let her go, which it seems he did, because his little sister Wanda would later say that Mary then ran for the car as Debbie tried to calm Bono and Arnie down. She was apparently standing between them so that they wouldn't get into a Barney. Even Wanda at some point tries to pull Arnie away, but Arnie's just standing there, he's growling like an animal, and then all of a sudden, he pulls out a 5-inch knife and he stabs Bono repeatedly. Alan Bono would die several hours later from his injuries. Then, just like in the movie, Arnie went for a nice long walk and got picked up by a police sergeant. According to Sergeant Gordon Fairchild, Arnie said that he did not mean to hurt anyone and was unable to remember anything. And while putting him in the cruiser, Arnie said, quote, "I need help because I've got a drinking problem." Well then, is it not perhaps possible that that was the same demon that forced Arnie's car into a tree? Just, none of my business. Later, when Arnie was told that Bono had died from the stabbing, Arnie became incoherent and then fell asleep for about 20 or 25 minutes. The police then waited, and when he woke up, they read him his rights and charged him with first-degree murder. It's a terrible, tragic tale that should have ended right here. But this is where the bullshit starts. The day after the murder, Lorraine Warren informed the Brookfield police that Johnson was possessed when the crime was committed. A media blitz soon surrounded the story, fueled in part by the Warrens, whose agents promised that lectures, a book, and a movie detailing the gruesome case were in the works. Because that's the most important thing right now, of course. Money. Then a guy named Martin Manella, who was Arnie's lawyer, traveled to England to meet with lawyers who had been involved in 2 similar demon possession cases, even though neither of these cases went to trial. Now, Martin was such a good guy that he planned to bring in exorcism specialists from Europe because he obviously just wanted to help Arnie. And he was so nice that he threatened to subpoena the priest who oversaw David's exorcisms if they did not cooperate with his defense. Yeah, this guy really believed in the whole demon possession bullshit, and he was hell-bent on proving it. So let's see how he did. The trial took place in Connecticut Superior Court in Danbury beginning on October 28, 1981. Martin Manella attempted to submit a plea of not guilty by virtue of possession, but the judge said, quote, "Are you fucking joking?" And he rejected this defense. The judge would then break the awkward silence by saying that no such defense could ever exist in a court of law due to a lack of evidence, and that it would be irrelative and unscientific to allow related testimony. The defense then said, no wait, hey, hold on. Arnie was actually acting in self-defense. You see, the demon within Arnie just felt really threatened by a drunk dog groomer. Arnie Johnson then lost the trial. He was then sentenced to 10 to 20 years in prison. Wow, lucky him, that seems awfully short. But then Arnie served only 5. Wow, really lucky him, that is really awfully short. Must be nice, I guess, to be able to murder someone then just spend 5 years in prison. Anyway, this one is dragging on long enough. Let's get to the lies. Debbie's older brother Carl Glatzel Jr. has spoken out about this case, and he said that he does not believe that a demon possessed any of his family members at all, nor does he think that demonic forces are to blame for Bono's death. Well then, Carl, how do you explain David's possession then? Easily, the Warrens. Carl says that when Ed and Lorraine came to his family home to gather proof that David was possessed, they described symptoms of possession that David might experience in front of David. They even demonstrated the movements in front of him, so the thrashing and the cursing spells that David had would have been easy for him to mimic. What's hilarious to me is that according to Carl, David would stop his bullshit when his father came into his room and demanded that he stop. Now, unless Papa Glatzel was Sam Winchester during his whole demon blood thing, where he could just, use the force on the demons, this suggests to me that David was not really possessed at all. So then why act like he was? Because of Lorraine. Because Lorraine said that if he did, he would become rich. Now, how the fuck do you prove that this was actually said? Well, that's what the family claim, and I just have no reason to doubt it at this point. Remember the Warrens' agents coming out and promising that there's a lecture, a book, and a movie detailing the gruesome case in the works? Because that's all that matters right now. A man lost his life, but we're concerned about lectures, books, and movies. What is wrong with these people? Now, with that being said, it's not impossible that little David actually did believe that he was possessed. Because, according to Carl again, during this time, his mother Judy was apparently putting Somanex, a sleeping pill, in the family's food, which in time resulted in extreme side effects. Now, I have no idea why she was doing that. Perhaps the excuse is out there for me to find, but fuck it. Whatever the excuse is, it's not good. It's not a good thing to do. So this is purely my speculation, but perhaps this is what happened. So David eats the food with the sleeping pills in it. He starts to feel a little bit strange. He starts to think that he's seeing a demonic beast man, and he thinks that he had a fiddle battle and now he lost his soul. So David eats more food, he starts acting weirder, and eventually Ed and Lorraine come, and they kind of show him what it would look like if he was possessed by demons. Bada bing, bada boom. David, you're possessed, and if you keep up the charade, you'll be rich, my boy. But don't take my word for it, that's just speculation from me and from the actual family. So if the ultimate motive here was money, what would Arnie get out of stabbing Bono? Well, there's a demon in your well. Here's where the story gets juicy. A detective who investigated the case said that Debbie told officials that she previously had a relationship with Bono. And according to Carl, there were speculations and rumors that Debbie was having an affair with Bono. Now combine that with Arnie's self-proclaimed alcohol problem, and you have a recipe for disaster. Now, most of the Glatzel family members believe that Ed and Lorraine misled them with this book and movie shit, and that Lorraine used her Irish charm to talk Judy Glatzel into just signing a contract before she could consult a lawyer. In the end, the Glatzel family made a grand total of $4,500 from the book deal. The Warrens made over $81,000. Adjusted for inflation, that is $333,000 in today monies. Well, anyway, Arnie, Debbie, and Mr. Second Fiddle to the Devil David still believe that they were possessed. Fair enough, you've believed it for 45 years, you might as well keep believing it. Ed and Lorraine Warren, of course, believed that this was all real too. And Lorraine even said that 6 priests who were involved in this incident agreed at the time that the boy was possessed, and that the supernatural events that Lorraine described were real. However, as is tradition, no priests' names were provided for independent verification. And interestingly, Papa Glatzel has denied ever telling the author of the Warrens book that he believed his son David was possessed. Now, before I move on to the next story, you might be wondering the same thing that I was wondering. If Arnie Johnson was actually really possessed, what happened to the demon then? Who knows? Arnie said that while he was in prison, he simply turned to religion and is no longer possessed by any demons. It's that easy to unpossess yourself. These demons are becoming less and less threatening.
Back door. I'll handle this. Oh, because you're such a good guy. Right now, I'm the goodest guy you got. Just don't make us square. I see you again, I'm dead. Yes, I know. I love you too.
You have Jody, who refuses to crush New York. You have this demonic beast man who plays the fiddle, and when his vessel decides to turn to religion, he's like, nope, fuck this, I'm out of here. This environment became a bit too hostile for me. And you have all the demons in Connecticut, like Annabelle, trying to drive people into trees. So yeah, these demons and ghosts and shit are pretty pathetic and pretty weak. And it makes me wonder, why be scared of demons and ghosts and stuff when people are far worse? People kill you more than demons and ghosts do. Maybe we should be more scared of people. Anyway, since ghosts and demons and shit are pretty pathetic and pretty lame, how about we do one more story and then we call it a day? And the story that I want to look at is the Union Cemetery. Now, this story takes place in Connecticut again, of course, because Ed doesn't like to travel very far, but according to the Warrens, this place is haunted, blah 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 blah. And Ed wants to prove that this place is haunted, so he goes out to try to record footage of the White Lady of the Union Cemetery. On the 7th night of his investigation, he captures this. Okay, let's just skip all 6.5 minutes of Tony Spera talking shit. Okay, Ed captures this. In case you can't see anything either, I'll also remove all of my fancy effects and I'll use a red circle to show you where the ghost is. So this is Ed Warren's proof. When this guy is screaming on stage, I can prove it to you, blah, 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 blah. This is what he's talking about. Now fair enough, this was 1990 and most cameras were not great back then. But even if you used a modern camera, this still wouldn't be very convincing footage. Because then you would see what these 3 pixels are. This is Judith Penny, Ed's alleged mistress. Ed faked this footage by dressing his mistress under a white sheet. And apparently old gold digger Lorraine knew about this entire affair as well. Because Ed's mistress lived with them. What the fuck? Now before I continue, I just want to point something out. Lorraine signed the movie contracts with New Line Cinema in 2009 to give them the rights to the stories and whatever. And in that contract, per her demand, there was a hyper-specific clause stipulated in the contract that is not only very fucking weird, but incredibly suspicious. The clause states that the Warrens could not be depicted as engaging in crimes or sexual misconduct, including sexual assault, sex with prostitution, or extramarital affairs. According to reports, the clauses were seen as unusual for such a contract, but were included because Lorraine Warren demanded it. However, the important thing to note here is that this was signed in 2009. Now, I want to add a disclaimer here in case I'm wrong about that date being 2009. Maybe it was signed in 2010, maybe it was 2011. Point is, it was signed before the first Conjuring movie came out. Okay? It was signed before the first Conjuring movie came out. Then, in 2013, the first Conjuring movie comes out. Then a woman named Judith Penny sees it, says, hold the fuck up just one goddamn minute. Why are the Warrens being portrayed as such a good-hearted, perfectly happy and in love couple, and why am I not in this movie? Okay, well I don't actually know if she said that in those exact words, but I can't be far off. Because this pissed her off. So in 2014, Judith Penny revealed to the world that she and Ed Warren were allegedly involved in a decades-long relationship, which began when she was a 15-year-old high school student and he was a mid-30s school bus driver. This bus driver job, by the way, is another thing that's conveniently missing from the Warrens' website. But apparently, Ed drove a bus to pay the bills before their haunted house shit started working. Now, Judith Penny claimed that she lived with the Warrens for 40 years. She also claimed that despite being married to Lorraine, Ed called Judith the love of his life. Fucking hell, man. Now, as far as proof goes, it's incredibly hard to find anything. However, this is what we got. In 1963, Judith Penny got arrested because at the time, it was illegal for an unmarried woman to cohabitate with a married man. When Judith refused to admit to the affair, she was sent to a delinquent youth office for 1 month. And this sounds pretty bad so far, but I know some people might be thinking, it's just some crazy lady trying to make a fuss to have her silence bought to make a quick buck. However, the Warrens' attorney wrote to the Hollywood Reporter, quote, "The Warrens opened their home to Miss Penny when she was 18 and had nowhere else to live following a childhood of neglect. During much of their career, Ed and Lorraine were on the road, working on cases and giving lectures, and Miss Penny lived and watched their house." End quote. So, she was there. Absolutely 100% no doubt about it, living at the Warrens' house. But now, we're expected to trust that Judith Penny was 18 when she moved in, because these people are so trustworthy. Bullshit. So in 1963, Judith Penny was arrested after a concerned citizen reported her relationship with Ed to the local police. She eventually was ordered by the court to attend a delinquent youth office for a month. Judith insisted that Ed would pick her up from school every week and then drive her to the mandated meetings. So I just want to point out that she doesn't sound like she's over 18 to me. And that's not because an 18-year-old is in high school, that happens. But it's because Judith Penny says that she had to attend delinquent youth office meetings for a month. And for that, you have to be under 18. Now, allegedly, to cover their tracks, the Warrens claimed that Judith was either a niece or a poor girl that they had taken in out of charity. Judith also claimed that in 1978, she became pregnant with Ed's child, oh my god, and was given 2 options by Lorraine. I don't want to talk about this. Lorraine said lie and say that she had been raped and did not know the father of the child, or have an abortion to avoid a public scandal. A public scandal which could result in the end of their successful ghost hunting business. Because that's the most important thing right now. Now, Judith also said that Ed was physically and emotionally abusive towards Lorraine, even knocking her unconscious on occasion. I really don't like this guy. Quote, "Sometimes Ed would actually have to slap her across the face to shut her up. Some nights I thought they were going to kill each other." End quote. Judith also mentioned that her relationship with Ed ended in 2003 and she eventually got married, but still she remained friendly with Ed until his death. Quote, "As I'm older now, I can't even fathom why Lorraine let me stay there. Lots of times I think about it. Why did I do this? Why did I screw up my life like this? Sometimes I get angry thinking about it, how so much was taken away from me." End quote. Yeah, man. So maybe it's fitting that Judith Penny returns the favor and takes everything away from Ed Warren's legacy as well. Because Judith Penny admitted that she helped Ed Warren stage photos proving the paranormal. She admitted that she wrapped herself in white bed sheets and posed as the Union Cemetery ghost while Ed captured the footage of her. Well then, this got depressing. In closing, the Warrens were full of shit. Sometimes it's not just enough to call somebody a liar, but to prove it 101 times. Anyway, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed Phenomenasons, and before I go, I just want to give a big shout out to all of our channel members and to all of our super thanks donations. Thank you so much for helping keep this channel going. And by keeping this channel going, what I really mean is keeping the treats flowing into Misty's belly. She cannot even put into words how much she loves you all. What a stupid joke. Anyways, leave your thoughts and theories in the comment section below, like the video, subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys soon with another mystery. Thanks for watching.